The Queens of Pain aren't the only things that go bump in the night in Sylvania. The curse of undeath runs rampant here, so the best way to purify these lands is to burn it all in holy fire. Through the fire and flames will the forces of Norsca have to march as the Dawi Tide unleash their scorched earth policy, incinerating any and all who stand in their way. The fury of 1,000 suns. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory. But don't expect Throgg and his mammoths to go quietly into that good night. We've got quite the stomping plan for the Dwarfs. So, we've got Morgengrat playing as Norsca and Lotus Moon playing as the Dwarfs with an absolutely epic Roasty Toasty Dwarf burn build. Now, if you've come here after the Average Chosen, please don't spoil the outcome in the comment section below. A lot of people can't watch it live and won't be expecting people to ruin their fun here, so avoid doing that, please. But by Valea's bearded ass, do I love this Dawi army comp. He's got 2 Thanes, the Ironbeard's Ring, which imbues 22% weakness to fire, and this is straight up a campaign strat. Get the heroes and lords up front, force your opponent to blob around them, then bomb them into Age of Sigmar. Super wide formation, Irondrakes are going to complete the flame build alongside the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, and he's got flame cannons in the back as well. 3 of them, which got a 50 gold price reduction in the most recent update. Not a common pick except maybe against vampire counts, but probably the most damaging artillery in the game against infantry. They're just hyper expensive, short range, and hard to defend, so you don't see them very often. For Morgengrat and Norsca, a Shaman Sorcerer leads the right flank with a Just Fireball. He's going to try to get on the flank and shoot down the length of the infantry formations, and that will deal tons of damage, kill dozens every single shot. He's got 2 Mammoths, Chariots, and Marauders as the core, and Throgg is completely stripped down except for his Vomit. Just trying to go as wide and cost-efficient as possible, which makes sense when even the most heavily armored monsters in the game can be brought low by Dwarf Firepower in seconds. So both players spreading the field like crazy. Lotus in particular loves to make use of the entire battlefield, and that means when players bust through, they have to make a choice. They can't tie down multiple units at once like you can when facing a more compact formation, and that space between them means when you commit for one, something else is going to be shooting you in the ass. One of the better ways to defend is the Dwarfs for sure, but Morgengrat is a beast with Norsca. Same dude who rocked the full Skin Wolves build against the Greenskins in that epic Amara Swamps match from a year or 2 ago. Werewolves aren't the play versus Dawi, especially when they're getting their flame on, so Chariots and cheap infantry with Mammoth support it is, and he's getting very aggressive early with the Chariots. We're in for quite the fireworks display here, my friends. 3 Flame Cannons, 3 Iron Drakes, and of course that Flame Resist debuff from the Thanes. So these Chariots are getting pooped on at the start. That's actually kind of surprising. Iron Drakes do have some decent AP for sure, but oh my lord, this unit got dumpster. Like, I don't even know how it died that fast. Like, go back and look at that. I saw the HP bar, like, on the corner of my eye just plummet. It, like, lost 2 Chariot models immediately. I have no idea what happened. That was crazy. Thane must have gotten a really good attack in. Flame Cannons might have got a good shot as well. Normally not amazing versus single entities, but they can do okay versus Feral Mammoths for sure, especially because they're relatively low armor. And Throgg is going to get things kicked off with a vomitous breath, bathing some poor miners in stomach bile, melting organic matter like the Life Eater virus, and Flame Cannons are the X factor here, alongside the Iron Drakes. Norscan Marauders are much better in close quarters than miners are, so Dwarfs need to equalize those numbers a bit and explode a bunch of them before they ever get a taste of melee. Flame Cannons are really an exceptional tool for doing so, and there's not a lot of backline pressure for Norsca here either. They don't have a tremendous amount of mobility. Throgg and the Mammoths have some speed, but they're not super speedy. They're not Speedy Gonzalez, so getting into the rear for Norsca, not going to be the easiest thing in the world. And the Chariots, he's already lost one of them, another one routed, so Morgengrat's relying on the grind, which typically favors the Dawi when they've got all this firepower. It's seriously looking like Independence Day out there right now. Glorious. So much flame. It's so cool. Flame Cannons have done so much damage to the Marauders already, but the front line of Marauders are definitely beginning to crumble, and the Mammoths are going to be a huge issue for the Dawi. That Rune Lord is in the wrong neighborhood. Nice rear charge from the Feral Mammoth, and take him down to about 2/3 HP, and the Thane was also getting beat up by Throgg, but he couldn't stay in the pocket there, because the Iron Drakes are shooting into him, and he's already down to half HP. Now remember, he has 22% weakness to fire already, and then gets 22% extra when the Thane is nearby. So he's 44% weak to flame, and Iron Drakes already deal a tremendous amount of damage to single entities. So Throgg has to be super careful. Beautiful flame ball into the flank of those miners. That is exactly why he brought Lore of Fire here. It's a very cheap and cost-efficient way to help turn the infantry grind in your favor. Norsca is definitely getting beat up on the right flank, but the Mammoth is into the flame cannon, beginning to tie that up, and it should only take a couple attacks before it's destroyed for good. Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are moving in. Flame cannon just landed a shot on Throgg, who's now down to 1/3 health, and Irondrakes and Rune of Wrath and Ruin, always a brutal combination. Beautiful alley-oop play from Lotus Moon, and the Horsemen moving like they're caught in a block of jello. That means point-blank gouts and napalm to the face, and the bite of this Thane's axe for good measure. They'll make contact, but no momentum whatsoever means they'll quickly crumble away, and -9 leadership penalty from Burnt gonna send them scurrying back to lick their wounds. They just broke. Feral Mammoth is rampaging, but he's in and amongst about where he wants to be. Other flame cannon tied down. Rune Lord looks like he is about to die. Throgg is just beating on him, bullying him, and Miners coming out of the woodwork, trying to push back the Feral Mammoth, maybe get a Blasting Charge volley, which would deal pretty good damage to them, especially considering they only have 30 armor. Irondrake's really nice gout of flame, but that flame cannon is completely shattered at this point. We'll not be seeing it fire again this battle. Mammoth needs to close into melee with the Irondrakes, though. Really can't afford to be taking too many volleys from that. Like, it's surprising how much damage Irondrakes can do to single entities. They've been buffed and buffed and buffed, and they're really in a good spot right now, I feel like. Really good unit for the price, especially. Throgg and the Feral Mammoth are fighting back-to-back in and amongst a bunch of miners. Believe they finished off the Rune Lord, or at least routed him completely. Sorcerer still supporting on the wings, trying to get some good flame balls in, and just a torrent of blood whenever the Feral Mammoth makes it into melee combat. There's a Chariot still alive. Nice breath attack. Nice vomit from Throgg. Again, Morgengrat's positioning has been impeccable with his lords and these wind spells and the magic missile play. Really good volley coming in on the Feral Mammoth, but it will make it into melee, and that is not where Irondrakes want to be. Welcome to the Ice Age, mother truckers. 10,000 BC up in this hoe, and Irondrakes look like they are about to get completely run over. Miners can come out and help, but they're not going to do a whole lot to a Feral Mammoth either. Throgg is doing a great job in the center, and it looks like Morgengrat has kind of carved the heart out of this Dawi formation and forced both wings to become isolated from each other, which means he could collapse on one side and the Dawi would be really slow to come in and reinforce. Balance more very much in the favor of Norsca at the moment. Routing everywhere. Rune Lord is low, but he did survive, I guess. And volleys coming in on Throgg. And this is a great way for Lotus Moon to try and get back in this game. Throgg realizes the threat those Irondrakes pose, but remember the Rune Lord's still alive. There's still a Rune of Wrath and Ruin, and indeed he is going to pop it. Minus 72% speed, and watch as his HP bar plummets. 44% weakness to flame. That is what you get. 1,200 damage easy, and they're firing again already, and he's just done. It's over. Not a fun bath for the Troll King whatsoever, and he is incinerated by those Irondrake volleys, and the Feral Mammoth is going the same way. Going extinct on this flank as the miners have completely tied it down. And the problem with the Feral Mammoths, of course, is that they rampage, so they're not necessarily always going to be attacking the target you want them to attack. Breaking off for now. Has about 4,800 HP left, so we should be able to see it again. Dawi, of course, are not exactly great at chasing down routing units. Both Feral Mammoths are broken, and Lotus is right back into this game. I expect both Mammoths to return, though, but Throgg is dead. And that means their leadership bastion is tartan a bit. The Sorcerer, I don't see him. Did he route? I think he was closed down in melee by a Thane. He might have routed off the map. I'm not seeing him anywhere. And Norsca might be on the back foot, but that's one way to get back into the game. An avalanche, a stampede of mass and flesh and goring tusks and miners on the business end of that ivory. Brutal stuff, but he's rampaging again. The rampage is really hurting Norsca right now. Could be killing the Irondrakes, could finish that unit off easily. Instead, he went into melee with miners. Can't do anything about it. There's no leash, there's no cold-blooded, no way to prevent the rampage. And that means he's fighting the wrong target for sure. And getting a ton of gouts of flame from point blank. That's a lot of HP he'd rather not be losing on his Oliphant. Chariots are coming in, though. Maybe a tad too late to save that Mammoth from all of the HP he just lost, but there's no way Morgengrat's out of this game yet. There's a lot of wavering, a lot of routing, but he should be able to get his stuff back together and go back in for another fight. With that said, though, Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are looking pretty healthy. That 6 bonus versus infantry and the flaming attacks has been really useful fighting alongside that Thane. Rune Lord getting run off by Marauder Horsemen, who should be able to clean up that entire wing. Oh, that Feral Mammoth shattered. That's bad news. That sucks. He has a lot of HP left. Kind of surprised he's broken for good. They don't have amazing leadership. I think it's 60 base, and it gets up to like 65 when they're supported by heroes and lords, but a little bit sad to not see that Mammoth return. Let's see what Morgengrat can do to get himself back into this game. Right now, I would say Lotus Moon has the advantage. Chariots, I'm not sure he wants to go in yet. I think you need to be getting them alongside the Mammoth and forcing the Irondrakes to pick and choose. A little bit of a staggered attack right now. Want to see that all collapsing in at the exact same time to force the Dawi to make some tough decisions. But he is putting pressure on the Dwarfs' right flank with these Marauders. And if he can break through quickly, he might be able to collapse in from behind and start putting a ton of pressure in the Dawi backfield. But the Mammoth is still hanging back. I don't blame Morgengrat for not wanting to go in. I think one burnt contact effect would be enough to send it running. The Chariots are still doing whatever they can. Marauder Horsemasters routing off some of the miners. But the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are really the big threat. If the Chariot and the Mammoth can together go in and get a rear charge on those, might be able to finish it off for good. There's not a whole lot left of Lotus Moon's army, but there's not a whole lot of Norscans left either. The Chariot just broke. The Mammoth no longer has any support, and yeah, I'm thinking the Dawi Tide is going to be able to pull this one out, barring some kind of Mammoth miracle. Yeah, it's over. I think, yeah, it's over. Morgengrat's going to concede, and that will be the game. So, Lotus Moon played that really well. You guys have probably seen it in campaign before. You put the Rune Lord, you put the Thanes, you put Grombrunzal or Thorgrim or whoever up in the front and just force the enemy chaff to surround them and get tied down. Especially with the fire weakness, the Ironbeard's ring or whatever it's called that imbues the fire damage, 22% weakness to flame on those Thanes. When they get all bunched up around and hit by flame cannons and by Iron Drakes, they're not going to be able to survive for very long. And we saw that here. I love that Thane play. You strip them down bare except for that ring and just let them be annoying. No, they're not going to be amazing duelists, but you're not really bringing them for their dueling capabilities. You're bringing them as a leadership bastion and as something that will force blobs that flame cannons and Iron Drakes can completely incinerate. And we saw flame cannons and the Iron Drakes both got some really good kills. The Iron Drakes actually didn't get a massive amount of kills themselves. Did great single entity damage on the Mammoths. The flame cannons were fantastic. The Rune of Wrath and Ruin on Throgg was a game changer. If Throgg gets in there and kills off those Iron Drakes, he's in a really good position to regen and carry the day. Unfortunately, the Rune Lord came back, Rune of Wrath and Ruin was popped on him, he got slowed and then took a full gout right in the face, and it was all downhill from there. I think maybe a bit more patience from the Marauder Chariots would have paid huge dividends in the late game, but honestly, I was surprised to see them get destroyed the way they did in the front ranks. I think hanging on to them and waiting to get into the flame cannons and the Iron Drakes a little bit later once the battle lines start breaking down could have been a really big deal, but great builds from both players, really fun. Hope you guys enjoyed.